Welcome back to another episode on YouTube, but as well my podcast. I'm Brenda Rigney, and I am a business coach, and I work specifically with midlife women in this beautiful intersection of life where we are caring for potentially aging parents and we still have kids at home, or maybe just people in our community that we're caring for. We're building our businesses, we're leaving our corporate jobs. We're in this intersection of like health and menopause and navigating all the things that come along with it. And I am here today to talk a little bit about integrity to our word and honoring our word. And this was honestly a concept that was foreign to me. I didn't really understand the word integrity. I really didn't know how to define it or unpack it for myself. And I sure as heck did not look at how integrity was showing up in my life or in my job or as my role as a mom, partner, at the time in my marriage that has since dissolved, and in my new relationship now that is like flourishing and it feels so great and so aligned to what I want to be able to create in my life in this episode. And I feel like I need to go into two episodes to really do it justice. Is I am seeing more and more uh, women like myself, midlife women, leaving their corporate job because we're done. Like we've been in it for like 35, 30, 35 years, building up our careers, contributing to organizations, and feeling this pull of like all the things, like because we're in this intersection of life where we are counted on for our responsibilities, for our expertise from so many people in our friends, family, and community, that it feels like we've kind of lost ourselves in the wake of it. We're not as connected to our vision and values, and our goals come second, third, fourth, maybe 20th on our list of to-do things that we need to do. And I work pretty much every day of the week, whether that's like creating content or being accessible for my members in my community. Yes, I take time off. Don't leave that in the chat that I need to take a day off. But I love what I do, and I love supporting women in this intersection of their life and their business. And I often hear, well, Brenna, I'm juggling this, or dad got sick, or this happened with the kids, or this is going on in my community, in my life right now. So I'm putting this on hold in my business, or I'm feeling it really challenging to show up in this way and do all the things to actually, grow revenue in my business. And part of me is like, yeah, anything that's new and different and entrepreneurship, let's face it, it's under 10% of entrepreneurs that actually start their business will be successful in it this time next year. So there's always that looming challenge of like, have I taken on more than I can chew? Am I actually going to be good at doing this? There's always like sort of daily, weekly doubts that come into your purview as an entrepreneur. But at the same time, there's also, I think, a gap, an inability, a muscle that hasn't necessarily been strengthened. And that is our word to ourselves and honoring our word. And that when we make a commitment, i.e., I'm leaving my job and I'm going to go start a business, that it's not actually something that we retract. It's not something that it's kind of like a maybe. It's actually we're either in it or we're not in it. We're either in an integrity or we're not in integrity to our word, to ourselves. And I know that sounds kind of harsh. And so this is where I want to break down the world of integrity, the word of integrity, because honestly, this is not something that has become like a dogma for me. It is something that actually shows up daily from a practical application in my life. And I can sense now, like we talk a lot, we're becoming way more conscious of nervous system regulation and how the brain develops and how the brain operates through neuroscience research. There's now just published out there for common people to read about. You don't have to necessarily be a neuroscientist. And even neuroscientists didn't necessarily get the credibility that they had. But I think it's all interconnected. The words that we speak, the actions that we take forward, the movement that we have in our body shows up in our business every single day. And when we can't give our word to ourselves, we lose a bit of ourselves, right? We lose that connection to self, to being, to action. And by default, we start running our life, we start running our business based off of other people's expectations, other people's wishes and desires versus our own, because we've lost touch with it. And here's a disclaimer. I'm not saying don't care for mom, don't respond to the kids' needs, don't be a servant in your community and value the relationships that you have with people that mean a lot to you. But at the same time, it's first, always put your oxygen mask on first, right? We hear that when we board a plane. I was flying last week, and it's just a gentle reminder, like, right, before I can assist other people, I need to make sure that I'm safe, to make sure that I am nourished, to make sure that I am honoring my word to myself. So you'll hear me say that a lot. And we'll break down this whole piece around keeping my word, honoring my word, giving my word, because there's subtleties in those definitions. And this is where I think as entrepreneurs, we get looped up and we can make excuses really easily. We don't make decisions easily. Taking risks or investments in our business become, a daunting task. And I want to free you up from these things. I want to free you up from potentially guilt, shame, that may be riddling your decision-making process right now and keeping you stuck from actually growing your business. And growing your business, here's another disclaimer. I'm not talking about becoming $1 million business by Friday. I think we have been hoodwinked a little bit, especially if you are in the coach, service provider, online business space, that is a reality. And yes, it does happen for some people. They go viral. They get 20 people wanting to buy their offer, and they, all of a sudden have 100, 200, 500 $1 million business, overnight. And congratulations, that's amazing. But I think for the most of us, again, that 90% of people that go into entrepreneurship that close up their business in a year, 2 years, don't even make it to the 5 or the 10-year mark. There is something in there about giving your word to yourself. I really want to talk about integrity and how this shows up for you in your business and what I've learned. I'm just going to look at the Webster's New World Dictionary around 2 definitions of integrity, and I'm just going to read it right from here. The quality or state of being complete, unbroken condition, wholeness entirely. And 2, the quality or state of being unimpaired, perfect condition, soundness. Okay, so let's just talk about that for a second. I know when sometimes we hear the word perfection, we get down like a sort of trigger word that I need to be perfect in my business, perfect as a leader. No, not at all. We're talking about your word and the word of integrity. So I think some key things to think about, right now, you can't see this, but my laptop is on a stand that is sitting on my dining room table that is on the floor, second floor of my house, that is standing on a lot of rock because I live on an island. And, there's mountainous rock, lava rock, etc. underneath us. So giving you that sort of visual representation of where I'm sitting, or the fact that I'm sitting on a chair with 4 legs, I am really hoping that, number one, the stand doesn't break, the table doesn't break, the legs on my chair don't break. And so I automatically assume when I sit at my table or when I sit on my chair, there's mocha lying down in the background there, is that there's integrity, right? There's integrity with this structural element around me, that my house isn't going to fall down today. And that, there's an unbroken word from this chair, from this table, the construction of it, the manufacturer that provided it for me when I purchased it, that it won't break. Now, over time, will this table crumble? Will the chairs break? Will the house disintegrate if we don't repair it, if we don't maintain it? Yes, absolutely. And so will your word. So think about it from that standpoint. Is my word as solid as this table that Brenda's sitting at right now? Is my word as strong as the chair that's supporting her? Is my word as strong, or the way I honor my word, as strong as the house that she's living in right now? So think about it from that perspective. So we use the phrase whole and complete to represent our definition of integrity. Defined this way, integrity is a positive phenomenon, not a virtue. Because I think that's the thing. Well, I espouse to be integrity. I espouse to have integrity in my life. I espouse to be authentic with people. No, you are or you're not. That's it. I'm a person of my word or I'm not. And the cool thing is that if you're not right now, you can always get back into it. So as integrity, whole and completeness, declines, workability also declines. I think that's a kind of a key thing to think about, is as workability declines, value, or more generally, the opportunity for performance declines. So if we're giving our word and then we're not honoring our word, the workability, the relationship that we have with our clients, with ourselves, with our spouses declines, right? Because even in a relationship with our spouse, there's workability, right? We're in agreement with each other, how we're going to operate. But if you say one thing and then don't operate in that fashion, workability goes down. Now, there's trust that maybe you'll turn that around. Maybe one day you'll honor your word again. We created some vows, some systems together, but we know that eventually erodes over time. And 55% of the population is divorced. So we know that we don't always keep our word. We're talking about a contract that we have with our client. We're talking about whether or not we've hit the snooze button 7 times this morning because we were going to get up early to go to the gym to work out, to work on our muscle mass as midlife women. So important as we're going through perimenopause, but we didn't do it. Put simply and somewhat overstated, without integrity, nothing works. Now, do we function? Does our pulse still work? Do we still, operate and coast through life and operate our life and our business on default? Absolutely. People do it every day. We want to think of this as like heuristic. If you or your organization, your business operates in life as though this heuristic is true, performance will increase dramatically. And the impact on performance is huge, easily in the range of 100 to 500%. Where are you giving your word to things and where are you not honoring your word? So integrity for a person or an organization in this positive model, integrity is a matter of a person's word, nothing more and nothing less. You are a man or woman of integrity and enjoy the benefits thereof when your word is whole and complete. Just like this table. Your word includes the speaking of your actions, as in actions speak louder than words, right? So it's like I say this and then I do this. Now I'm in integrity. I could say something and then don't do it. I'm out of integrity, right? So it's always the action. We may think that we're, giving our word to things. We may think that we're living by our values and our goals are top of mind for us. But in actual fact, when we look back on the last 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, here's where we've been out of integrity. While keeping your word is fundamentally important in life, stuff happens, right? I say that I'm going to pick my daughter up at 4:00 and there's traffic. While keeping your word is fundamentally important in life, you will not be able to always keep your word unless you are playing a small game in life. Underline that. My goals are like ranked number 20. I'm not really showing up in integrity to my word. I said I was going to do this in my business. I said I was going to do this with my clients. I said I was going to do this with my cash flow, and I'm not doing it. So, and the reason why I'm not doing it is because I'm kind of playing a small life, just coasting and keeping things like kind of low key, status quo. If I rock the boat, if I try something new, if I want to exponentially grow, it's going to require something different of me. And I may not make that goal, right? So it's just kind of safer to hedge your bets. However, you can always honor your word, and honoring your word is one, keeping your word, or whenever you will not be able to keep your word, just as soon as you become aware that you're not going to be able to keep your word, including not keeping your word on time, saying to everyone impacted that I can't keep my word. So, okay. So honoring your word means either one, keeping your word, or two, as soon as I know that I can't keep my word, which was number one, I'm going to contact that person or those people, not 3 days after I was supposed to keep my word, but right when I find out. So if I knew that I was supposed to show up on a call with a client at 3:00 and it's now 11:15 in the morning and I find out that, I don't know, my dog is sick and I have to take them to emergency vet. And I know that my client will understand, but I'm going to let them know right now at 11:15 that I can't meet with them at 3:00, not at 2:55, not at 3:05, and definitely not the next day when I completely missed it. So think about that. As soon as I find out that I can't keep my word, I'm going to notify those people, those individuals impacted, that I can't keep my word. And the third element to that, so it's either honoring my word, is either keeping my word, or as soon as I know that I can't keep my word, I inform those people that I can't keep my word. And then number three, I give an alternative that I know is going to be in their favor, in the sense of like, sorry, I can't meet the call today at 3:00. I'm letting you know now because I just found out now that I can't. But here's my availability tomorrow, the next day afterwards. Let's figure this out. And by the way, I'm just going to gift you that session. And so you still have another session with me, right? Because I couldn't keep my word to it. But let's define what your word is. So your word is basically what you said. So whatever you said you will do or you will not do. And in the case of do, you do it on time. So an example of giving your word to something is I will do X by time Y. Or I will not do X by time Y, right? So it's like being really clear with that intention and honoring it. So if I said that I wasn't going to do something by this date and then someone saw me do it on that date, they might be like, she was lying. She's not keeping her word to herself or to me. So erodes workability. Number two, how you know how you would define your word is what you know. So whatever you know to do or not do, or if it is do, doing it as you know it is meant to be done and doing it on time, unless you have explicitly said the contrary, right? So again, defining what it is that you're going to be doing and doing it on time, having a by when date is absolutely critical. Saying you're going to do something like I'm going to go rake the leaves when? Like if you don't have a by when date, by the end of today, by tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Again, you're not, your word is kind of there, but it's a little bit flaky. So you need to have a by when date to it. And then what is expected of you? Be detailed on giving your word. So whenever you are expected to do or not do unexpressed requests, and in the case of doing it on time, unless you have explicitly said to the contrary. So again, what are those unexpressed requests? Like sometimes people will say, okay, so Brenda, you're going to go rake the leaves, but could you also make sure that you take the raked leaves and put them in the compost bin because the truck is coming tomorrow at 5 and I want to make sure it's done by then. Yes, I will rake the leaves, put all the leaves away in the compost bin, and I'll put the rake back away in the garage and I'll make sure that's all done by 4 o'clock today. That is a complete, like giving your word, right? And making sure any unexpressed wishes of the people that you are in relationship with, your customers, your kids, like whomever, like you've just got it out there. Is there anything else that you have a request around? Is there anything else that's important for me to know about your request before I say yes to it? So it's out there. It's very clear. Number 4, another way to sort of define your word is what you say is so. So whenever you have given your word to others as to the existence of something or some state of the world, your word includes being willing to be held accountable that the others would find your evidence makes what you have asserted valid for themselves. If I believe that X equals Y, that there is evidence in my life to believe that this is true. Like one of the things that I believe in is creating evergreen businesses. That I think that you can run your business as a midlife woman entrepreneur and deal with the upset with dad and deal with the things that are going on with your kids and all the things in your health and your life. And you can still be having straight payments come through. Now, like I'm not promising that it's going to be $1 million by Friday because you may need to build out some of your systems, but you can do that. And so, when I say that that is true, I'm creating evidence to prove that out. Like I'm not just making false claims about this. I am saying, yes, this is true. But I think this is where there's an undercurrent in the coaching online consulting space right now is it's like, hey, download this, join my mastermind, and all of this is going to happen for you for real. But if you don't have evidence in your own business to say that this is so, then it becomes a little bit out of integrity. So the next element around your word is what you stand for, right? Making sure that there's a declaration made about like what is your non-negotiable, what is important to you, because even if somebody hasn't made a request of you yet, how you're living your life, how you are actioning things in your life and in your business is your word, right? So it's just like, I believe that, women can run a business and get to a 6-figure business by creating some evergreen systems in place. And I talk about that through your email marketing, through having a constant flow of lead generation coming through nurturing sequences. And so I show that as evidence to be true. And I talk about it continually. And it's proven out by me doing some of these videos on YouTube, by hosting my workshops, that I don't get on sales calls anymore and people sign up for the Aligned AF community. Someone signed up literally today after I had been in a community with them, I want to say over a year ago, and they signed up today and they have been in my orbit and I've been talking about the same things over and over again. And it just is so. So number 6, another way to define what your word is, the morality, ethics, and legality, right? So we live by a code of morals, ethics, and legal terminology. I live in Canada. We have our human rights code. We have employment standards as an example. We have our constitution. There are a number of things that, are in place. And we have our legal system. We have the Supreme Court of Canada that upholds legal terms and conditions of what it means to be a citizen of Canada. As a citizen of Canada, I need to make sure I'm filing my income tax every year. So there's ethical, moral, legal standards. As a business owner, I have contracts. I have, terms and conditions of how you work with me. These are all ways that I'm giving my word. And when those things aren't in place and I'm not holding them, it doesn't necessarily mean I get carte blanche to doing whatever I want. It means that probably less people will want to work with me, because it's a bit of a risk to work with Brenda when she doesn't necessarily have those things in place. Having a privacy statement on your website is just kind of like a given thing that you have as a business owner, but you'd be surprised that a lot of business owners don't have that. So those are all the things that make up your word. If we want to review that just really quickly. So when we talk about honoring our word, it's keeping our word. It's making sure that if we can't keep our word, we're letting those people know on time that we can't keep our word. And then we are coming up with a backup, a plan B with them really quickly to get back into honoring our word with them. And our word is what you said, what you know is true, what's expected of you, what you say is so, what you stand for, and the morality, ethics, and legality frameworks that you reside in based on the country. And it could be something connected to a religious doctrine if that's important to you, but even your own sort of code of ethics that you live your life by. Integrity has no top. It's a mountain with no top. We are always sort of climbing the mountain to get further and further up the scale in integrity. And here's my example with that is that 5 years ago, I was going to spin classes all the time. I was working out literally 5 days a week. COVID happened. We went into restriction, gyms closed, things like that. I ended up getting a Peloton. Great. And here's the thing, I was riding a lot during our shutdown and walking a lot. But my routines, my exercise routines, my health totally took a backspin. I also then started to get heavier into perimenopause and just didn't feel like working out. Just didn't, I felt like the slog of it. I just felt like just didn't feel like it. And now I use sort of this excuse of like, well, I've got a Peloton downstairs in my garage and I'm paying for that every month, like the app, to, do the workouts, do the exercise routines. Scott uses it. I use it periodically, but I'm not going to the gym anymore. So I'm out of integrity to myself right now around my health. It's just getting back in integrity with my word. And maybe, again, with a mountain has no top, I start here and I set a bar for myself around, can you be in integrity around this level? And then once you can do that on a regular basis and create that habit, that positive reinforcement for yourself, can you bump it up to the next level and then the next level after that and the next level? So if I'm sitting here going, I need to get back in integrity with my health and I'm like setting a bar of being like an Ironman contestant, it's like already I'm losing the battle. But if I said, hey, you know what, can I just get back into riding my Peloton 3 days a week? And it's like, okay, can you do that, Brenda? Like, can you give your word to yourself that you'll do that? We treat ourselves so badly. We punish ourselves. We say awful things to ourselves and about ourselves to other people. Here's where I also see business owners say yes to things because what? The fear of missing out. Alignment is so critical to us being successful in our business and also successful in our life. And when we give our word to something, we do it. We cross the finish line. So I don't say yes to a lot of things anymore. I say no, and my no is very clear. It might be like, if there's an idea that's generated between me and somebody else, it's like, okay, that's a really cool idea. I'm going to go think about it and I will get back to you. And I will get back to you. I want to challenge you that before you say yes to that great idea, to say yes to working with somebody, to say yes to this client interaction, that you have actually, number one, gone into your calendar, right? Like literally gone into your calendar and looked before you said yes. Number two, go to your bank account. Do you have the cash flow right now? There's no shame in that. That's just actually good business sense, right? Know where the money's coming from. And if it's not there, unless you're going to go out there and create it, like build the lemonade stand today and go and do it, like how long will it take you to pay off that debt that you've incurred in your business that's hindering your cash flow? I say these things because it's really about putting in the values and the principles that are so key in our business and not operating from shoot from the hip when you're making decisions. And so I encourage you, I implore you to go back, listen to this again, and Check to see where in your life you are in and out of integrity, where you are giving your word to something and you're not following through, you're not honoring your word. You can start one by one, person by person, offer by offer, start honoring your word on those things. And speaking of offers, having an offer suite of like 31 things that you can do potentially for clients is not also honoring your word. Having a signature offer is honoring your word because you can do that 80% of the time and generate monthly recurring revenue that feels good for you and feels good for your clients. Having all these possible ways that I can work with you, now you have to market all those possible ways. How can you possibly do that when you're also juggling all these other things in your life? Let's face it, I'm a human being. I make mistakes. I'm in and out of my word. I flex and I flow. But every time I think about it, like, how can I get back into my word today? Thank you so much for listening today. I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope that, again, there's like nuggets of truth in here that are making you reflect on where you're showing up and how this could actually clear some things up for you in your business. Be well, my friends, and we'll see you soon.